All right, everybody. Hello, hello. Let me turn this down really quick here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Live9 Recordings live stream. It is Sunday night. It is our music business talk night. Thank you for joining me here again. Hopefully, you guys had a great rest of the week since we did the music production talk a couple days ago. I just want to take in touch base on a couple things that happened in that. If you've gone back to the live stream and watched that one, first off, I want to thank everybody for their patience while I had a couple technical difficulties with the TuneTrack Superior Drummer software. Basically, as I was trying to take and do the first track, it was not working because I just needed to do a software update. So that'll teach me a lesson to take and update the software prior to attempting to use it right off the bat. And the second thing I want to take and do is, like, as I was taking and pulling together samples from Splice to take and create the second track, I lost the audio from Logic. So what I ended up doing was I posted the audio from Logic onto SoundCloud. So if you go to SoundCloud/P4R1, the Live9 Recordings live stream sample project that's listed there that was just posted a few minutes ago is that project that was there. Hopefully I can figure out why that did that from the beginning. So next time on Thursday, we don't have any of those issues for that. But I'm not going to lie. I thought Thursday was a very, very fun experience, even though it was not fraught with difficult times, but just had definitely some hiccups there. So I'm really excited to continue to do that for that. Sunday's business talk today I got really interesting, like really intrigued by some of these topics as I was thinking about this. And this week, a lot of what I had been thinking about and talking to a lot of different people in regards to music, in regards to podcasting, in regards to a lot of different things, comes around this concept of, like, we always want things to happen right away, right now. The most important things we want, like almost like we want instant gratification for everything that we're working on. And that's not going to be the case with a lot of these things. And, success come from the music space and everything like that. Success from the podcasting world is not going to happen overnight. And one of the things that I want to take and do and try to talk with today is try to building some of the building blocks of the foundational work that can take and go into place when you are starting out as an independent artist and when you are continuing to be an independent artist, to, like, be able to, okay, first achieve what goals you're trying to achieve. So maybe your initial goal is to get noticed for a potential show that you want to do, or get noticed for a producer you want to work with, or get noticed for your, like, a record label that you want to produce an album that you already have, like, to get a demo out there. So I've been thinking about that a lot this week, just in terms of, like, what would I do in that scenario? And as I'm doing that right now, what would be some of the key things that I would do as an artist or need to do and tick off the box? Because yes, songs are important. Yes, the brand is important and getting that up there. But how do you take in, have something that you're proud of that allows you to take and go forward multiple times over? And I think the big thing that I came across with and I want to talk about first is marketing. And not only just marketing, it's like the website and web presence. And there's thousands of different ways you could take and skin this cat in terms of what you want to take and do, of, like, what strategies you want to go for, what genres you're going to do based upon who your target is. But I think that needs to be kind of the first thing, is you need to figure out who your target is and what you're trying to do, and then craft a strategy around there. So one of the things that I've seen myself with included is a lot of people, first off, don't have websites if they're taking in the up and coming space, or they're just choosing to lack on what they're trying to do. They're using services like social media to take and blast out, content that way, and that can be good. However, you want to be able to, like, and anytime you're taking and marketing yourself, especially on the web as an artist, you want to be able to take and have somebody go back to something that you can control. You can control what's going on there. And a website, some sort of place that is your own domain, whatever that is going to be, go to GoDaddy, go wherever, buy your domain, that you can control the content that goes there. Because one of the tough things that we have in this like social media world is, yes, there's Twitter is great. Yes, Facebook is good. Yes, there's all these different platforms, and there's new platforms coming up, but they control what messaging can come out, and they can change terms of services on you. They can change how things are working, and one day you can have your entire business on one going successfully, and then a change in how that product or service is run could change exactly what your strategy is and what your presence looks like across there. So if you put all of your eggs in one basket, be it Twitter, be it Facebook, be it something that's like outside of your control to control the messaging on, it's very difficult in case to adapt from those situations if that were to happen. I'm not saying Facebook is going to go away anytime soon, but if there's something that, if you too heavily invest in a platform, they're going to take and change based upon their business needs, not based upon your fan page's business needs or whatnot. They're going to potentially listen to you as a customer or as a consumer of their service, but it's not always going to be the same thing. So what I'm trying to advocate for is one of the things that I've seen a lot, and it's tough because there is a technical hurdle sometimes between if you're not computer savvy, there's going to be a technical hurdle from building websites for musicians or anybody. And I think that a lot of times leads people down the path of like, oh, I don't need to do this. I could take and just do this. I want to take and dispel a little bit of this as a notion of a website is too hard to build, so I don't want to do this, and I'm not going to worry about this and have it on Facebook. There are services out there, and there are plenty of services out there that range from what I would call prosumer, WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get, basic services that will allow you to get a good-looking, functioning site up that will allow you to post your music, post a blog posts, get your customers informed, collect email addresses, all the things that you want to do to take and have an integrated marketing campaign around your music. I think that there is a realm of like turnkey solutions out there. Then there is other software, and then you can go the route of custom building stuff and working with a development shop or an agency. And there's going to be reasons to take and choose certain things, certain ways and aspects of doing this, depending on where you're at. If you have limited financial resources and you're trying to get something out the door and you don't want to hire somebody, there's the turnkey solution might be a way to go. If you have more financial resources and want to have more of a custom feel, then you could take and use this. And then if you want to take and go fully managed, you can even, hire out developers and work in that range. But there are definitely options for you to get this web presence. And the reason you want to have a web presence is because that's an asset for you. If it goes down, it's on you. But if it's an asset for you to take and drive traffic for, so you can take and use that as a vehicle and a means for potentially driving revenue for your business, selling music off of it, advertising, doing brand partnerships through it. So I think that there is a great reason why people need to do this. And granted, you could do these on the social media platforms, but what you're looking for is the control. And so like two of the turnkey solutions that I would take and recommend, and I'm not getting, let me just take and, dispel some of this right now. These are not sponsored posts. I'm not getting affiliate links or anything from them at all by any means. But these are just opinions of things that I've seen over the years that you may be able to do. And professionally, I'm a software engineer, and a music producer, and I do a bunch of other stuff. I come from a background where my degree is in business marketing. So a lot of the stuff that I've learned over the years has been trying to distill a lot of these topics around how to get technology platforms up for artists and brands and companies to take and build a sustainable marketing presence online. So I've done a lot of research in these things. So the two that are here right now, if you're completely new to them, you've probably seen advertising across. I think Squarespace even had a Super Bowl ad this year. But two of them that are going to be really easy for you to start off with are going to be either choosing Wix or Squarespace. And this is for somebody who is a brand new, somebody who is trying to get some little to no technical web development experience. If you're trying to get a site up and running fairly quickly, where all you have to do is kind of craft the content. And so like the images, the overall look and feel, what the copy says, what the words on each page say. If this is something that you feel comfortable with and want to have something that looks like a very clean site to take and work with, these two services are services that you can look into to potentially do those. The services themselves offer you these kind of little editors. So you basically just drag and drop and make things look and feel how you want. And within these editors, they claim to have freedom of design, right? So like if you want to have a bigger button or a littler button, or you do this, you can go to your heart's content on that. So like if you're a pro in Photoshop or a pro in MS Paint or whatever, you should be able to take and work with these no problem. And they basically allow you to take and have integrations into other systems. I know Squarespace allows you to have an e-commerce platform built into it as well. But both of these services would allow you to take and basically, there's templated sites that they have here, and there's even some that are from music. So let me see here. So let's go here to this solo artist one and look and see what they have here. So if we go here, they have a solo artist one that gives you the basic information about what you could take and look for. You'd have like places where you could put all your social stuff, social information, and then do like a nice little profile and do some tour date information, all this different stuff. And it's really a turnkey thing. They manage all the back end stuff of keeping it up and everything. So you're paying Wix and a Squarespace for the infrastructure services for that. Okay. And so like, if we're going to look at, Squarespace over here, let's just look at them for an example to kind of give you a side by side. They give you layouts and so on here. Let me see if it's where they do the templates here. Yeah. So their templates, I don't know if they're by, yeah, they do let you do things here by certain spaces, but like, so here, let's preview this wave template right here. And so they're showing you here's a very, very nice clean layout here. And so what you would do is like, if you're wanting to do this on yourself, or if you're wanting to, pay somebody a very nominal fee for just setting up the content that you already have on a site like this, they would basically go in here, sign up for an account on either of these services, and then start translating over your content onto this. It's a very, very low, you don't have to worry about hosting, you don't have to worry about database stuff, you don't have to really worry about domain stuff. You shouldn't have to take and do that. Like all of that's managed through what they take and offer, which is really kind of a nice thing for that to take and do. So with these being said, like, again, these templates like are a good place to start if you have zero idea of how to take and do anything, and they are mobile responsive, and you want to take and make sure that you have stuff that looks good on the web, because people are looking at it on the web. You want to make sure that it looks good on tablets, and also you want to make sure that it looks good on phone. The way that I always kind of equate this, I do a lot of stuff of work within the startup communities and startups, and we always look at what is your MVP, what is your minimum viable product, and your minimum viable product, when you try to place it, is who is the intended audience for that particular thing. So is the intended audience for my website as a brand or as a band or a musician going to be the consumer who would be using it on the phone that I may want to transact and purchase a sale or go to Spotify or so on? Or is this somebody who's going to be potentially using this on the desktop computer or so on and so on? So knowing this going into it really hones in like what you're trying to do from a design standpoint. And it really does affect how you take and make decisions here. So for example, if I was, releasing an album and I wanted to take and have my first single out there, right? I would most likely want to have a website that is designed in a way to take and be good on mobile phones that can open up into browsers, into players, like Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal. so on and so on, and also potentially allow it to link into those stores so it could take in people can transact and purchase tracks that way if necessary. That's one of the ways that I would do it if I am looking and focusing on trying to promote my upcoming tour. I would probably do that as well, where it would be have a mobile focused one, because a lot of people are going to be potentially purchasing tickets mobile. If it's done like day of, you know you're going to want to definitely have a responsive site where people can view your content on the phone and be able to transact there with no friction right there. And responsive design, in terms of responsive web design, having websites go from looking good on desktop to tablets to a mobile device is a common practice here. So it shouldn't be something that you would, if you were to go out and say, hey, I want to have a site built, it shouldn't be like, oh, and do you want it to have, it's implied that that's going to take and do. But you definitely want to take and note that in your strategy of like when you're trying to figure out like with your marketing, how to take and do that, because that's definitely something that's going to be important. When you think about typography, brand assets, everything like that, because you don't want things to be either too big, too small. You want to take and have things clearly communicated as to what you're doing. So these two platforms, Wix and Squarespace, would be great entry level if you don't really know how to do any web development, if you're afraid of coding, if you're afraid of any heavy software lifting. And I mean heavy as in like the basic software lifting. If you're not comfortable with this and you want something out the door that's your branded thing, go to one of these solutions here. And there's probably 1,000 other of them that are there. These are just two that I know that are huge, have a large presence that I've had people work with in the past. And I'm not advocating one or the other. I'm just saying this is a solution for those particular things. A next route that you could potentially go is, if you want to take in focus on, one of the things is there's a very popular platform called WordPress. And WordPress is by definition, it is a content management system. And a content management system is, they power blogs. A lot of blogs, newspapers, any way you want to manage certain pieces of content, be it posts, information, so on. WordPress is one of the top 3 or 4 worldwide solutions, pieces of software that allow you to do it. There's others called Joomla, there's Drupal, there's a bunch of other content management systems in different languages, computer languages that you can actually take and work with. I say that moving up to this is a more hands-on approach. You need to take and host this with a hosting provider. You need to take in, there is a little bit more complexity when it comes to the code. You will have to interact with the code. You or somebody on your team will have to interact with the code. But there's a tool set, and there's reasons that a lot of people and companies and everything use WordPress as a starting point for their online presence, is because the power of being able to manage media content and pages and content or comments and users and posts is a very, very good thing. So WordPress in itself has a hosted one on WordPress.com, which is also different than what you would find at WordPress.org, which is the one that you have to host on yourself. So what does WordPress give you as a musician? What's interesting with it? So as a musician, a content management system allows you to basically create posts, different information, and have those different pieces of information. It gives you more granularity and flexibility around how your content is displayed and shown in this setting than the Squarespace and the Wix particular services will. You'll have to take and set up a database. WordPress uses a MySQL database to take and connect there. WordPress is written in a computer language called PHP, which is a server-side scripting language. So what you do there is the software runs on a server, and then you take and log into the WordPress. There's a backend that you manage all your content through. And it's very, very easy to use once you get there. And then you can set it up and basically allow it to do very different things. And then what you do is through templates or themes, you will allow, it shows the user, somebody coming to your website, the different look and feel of that information that you're presenting there. So it's a little bit more, I'm at a loss for words. It's a little bit more customizable to what you need. So like, for even example, the Live9 recording site that I'm currently working on right now, it doesn't look really great when you take and go to it because it's in maintenance mode, but the Live9 recording site is in WordPress. So it is being built in that particular thing. And the reason I chose to take and do this is, it allows me to take and move different, it allows me to create content in ways that's structured. So I can create artists, I can create tours, and I can create all these different things, albums, and link all of them together in a way that will take in, eventually look very, very good to the end user, to you, the general public, salute general public. It'll look good and provide some valuable information about what is going on with inside the record label, what else we're going on, and different things there. So that's definitely a thing there. And if people want more information about this, they can take and definitely email me or hit me up on Twitter with questions in regards to this. But I did mention something about templates and templates, themes. And themes are the front end of what somebody sees. And what you see in software development, there's a couple of things. You have a front end, which is the visuals. It's the HTML, the JavaScript, the CSS, the stuff that people see, all the beautiful parts of the web. You know, this website that we're looking at, this WordPress.com, is the front end. And then the back end is what is running on a server that allows the code to execute to display the front end and the information correctly. So with this WordPress, you can take and have different themes, and these themes allow you to take and change how things look. It's like painting a house. You can change how it looks. And there are places that you can go. And again, all this stuff that I'm saying is here are just recommendations. They're not being endorsements by any means, but if you type in WordPress music, WordPress themes, one of the places that you'll probably end up on is ThemeForest. And ThemeForest is a site that offers thousands of different opportunities for people to take and go and purchase WordPress themes to install that are developed by developers, theme developers, for people. So you pay a nominal fee for the theme and you can use that on your site. So it's like almost like it helps you get, you know, maybe 70% of the way going. Oh, I like how this looks. I'm going to take and install this theme. I still have to install all the content. I still have to tell it what my music is, where all this is, where I'm going on tour, who I'm touring with, all my beautiful headshots, all that stuff I still have to put into this site. But this gives you a way to potentially take and see, this gives you a way to take and do a lot of the visual layout done very, very quickly. And so like I've pulled up a couple, like you can see that this has got 101 different themes right now just on the music side of things. And here, let's look at this one called Pantone. And so you come in here and this one will cost you $59 to take and do the regular license. And they have different licenses that you can do for certain things. And you're going to want to take and make sure that whenever you're doing this or whenever you're working with somebody who is a designer or a developer, to get this off the ground, their understanding of what this licenses are. Like, because you don't want to be using stuff illegally, and you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you'll have to take the site down or have any problems with that. But so for this site right here, let's go take a look at it. I can see that, oh, it's got a bunch of different cool things. This one's got some support, so it's a video channel. So it shows me like a bunch of different layouts that I could potentially take and use for this. It has the responsive design. So like we talked about with the Squarespace and the Wix, it should take and look good on all these devices going down. So It will look good on the websites. It'll look good on tablets. It'll look good on a phone. So if that's something that's needed, it will be very, very. This has got it built into it. So, and it's got some album stuff here. So they've basically taken, and this theme is promising that it's got a lot of different things into it that I would say would be pretty crucial for taking and having your site there. And one of the best things about this Envato marketplace is that you can preview what it should look like on these different things. They give you a place where you can take and look at these themes kind of in real time to see like, hey, do I actually look at this? I'm not understanding from the sales page if this is exactly what I think about. And like you can customize certain things in here. And so I'm like, oh, this looks really kind of nice. I mean, it looks very professional. See, like, okay, the Found Festival 2017 is already come and gone. So this is here. But then you look at this and the site is like, it's very beautiful. It's clean. And all this content is managed on the WordPress installation that you'd install. And it's very clean. And so like, if you're using this, like to take in, launch your record, launch your album before you're going out on tour, telling people that you're going out on tour to have them buy tickets, I would see this as a fully functioning piece that you can actually do this. I mean, it's got a web player in here, so I'm not going to take and play all these tracks, but it's got a player in here. So like this would be something that I would consider as a opportunity for somebody to take and have this be a very great site. It's on the WordPress stuff, so you're gonna have to manage this yourselves in terms of the upkeep of the server and all that stuff, and there's costs associated with that. But that's just a different opportunity because you have more flexibility. Like I talked about at the beginning, Wix and Squarespace, if they change how they want to take and operate it, you're still struggling for them. WordPress allows you're just having open source software on a server. You still can take and change it to whatever way you want. And just to kind of look at it going down and degrading down into, this is what it would probably look like on the phone, as we can just see it go through all these different devices here. So that's pretty exciting to think about and see this like going down here. I pulled up a couple other themes because that was one that was here. So like here's another one called Beats. Let's see what they have. Fully responsive. See, fully responsive is probably a, you really don't have to like look for that anymore. It should do that. This one's got a shop layout, which is pretty cool. So if you have merch, you can take and do this. And there's plugins inside of WordPress, and there's commerce plugins, and there's services that you can link into it that will allow you to sell merch through this. And there's different stores and things that that'll allow you to take and actually do that, which is pretty cool. So look, if I clicked on live preview, it'll bring up this theme here. And so this is what the Beats theme looks like, and it's got, let's see, what do we have? It's got some like events here, and so it's clean, it's crystal clear. Like there's nothing wrong with this at all. I would totally 100% use this as an opportunity for myself, and call this a day in terms of, wow, this is beautiful. I like shows you like buy now, and so like if you have it set up, people could buy your record on this website. You have to set up Amazon distribution, obviously, and iTunes, which we talked a little bit about last Sunday with the DistroKid stuff in there. But I think, from my perspective, these are definitely things that you could take and work with. So I would choose Beats as another option here as something that could be built on WordPress. So the part that I'm trying to show with like these different themes is once you figure out which level of comfortability you're wanting to work with. I want to work with either what you see is what you get, Wix or Squarespace, because I don't want to touch the code at all. Then you can go and look that route. If you say like, okay, I'm okay with touching the code and want a little bit more flexibility with this, I want to take and do this. Then you could go look at the WordPress route and then search all the different themes. Okay, it's like, okay, now that I know that I'm in this realm, I can take and have these themes. Find one that suits you and for what brand you're trying to achieve. And there's nothing that says once you theme it once, you can't change that theme over again. A content management system is built in a way that you can change the content or the look and feel of how the information is displayed without changing how the content is changed, right? And so like if you have a developer who's programming it correctly, all your content will stay the same all the stuff in the database and everything will stay the same. But say you have your second album coming out and you want to have a whole different brand for that, you can totally do that and have a completely different brand for your second album, and vice versa, and so on subsequently, and going there. So I just want to look at one more that I found that looked out, it was pretty cool, because they said it was a clean music theme. And so I was like, there's different things as you look at, like there's a minimalist, there's people try to take in minimalist design where it's very, very sparse amount of information on the page. Clean is generally falling into that minimalist. Then you have some of these music ones that are very, like, I'd call them a little bit too EDM focused, where it's like really up in your face about bright lights and colors and everything like that. So the one thing that I'd recommend with any of these different branding solutions, and as you're taking and thinking of your brand going forward, is it is your brand. What are you trying to do? Are you an acoustic singer-songwriter? Okay. Is that what you're trying to brand yourself as? Sweet. Awesome. The electro pulses and high flashing screens of some websites maybe not be what you're trying to do to convey that correct messaging across. So one of the things that goes in this exercise of not only figuring out where to host your website or where to take and build it is, what is your website? What is the messaging that you're trying to convey through this? Because you can take and think you're trying to convey a certain message, but you're sending out the most completely contrary, like a completely contradictory sentiment out there based upon what you're saying. So let's just look at this other one, and this will kind of wrap up my talk about. I'm gonna have one more thing, and then we can talk about this here. Go on to another topic before we wrap up for the night. But so this shout out one looks really kind of cool too. So they're taking and branding that they have a sticky player. And so a sticky player and playlist, when you're talking about in the web world, sticky means it's always present. It's ever present. So as a user would scroll on the site, the player would be there. So they can listen to your music and never lose it. So like if they're scrolling down to your tour dates and they like this song and they want to turn up the volume, they can still do that and not have to scroll up or down the page because it will always be present in the view, which is kind of cool, which is a very nice thing to do. Again, these people are, this site and this theme is saying responsive layout. So again, it will take and do that one particular piece of information that we talked about before. It'll work on desktops, tablets, and mobile devices, and degrade. And when I say degrade, it's not a bad thing. It's the way that the UI, the user interface, what you see on the screen goes, is it naturally and gracefully takes and goes down to those devices. It doesn't lose certain things. You don't lose information based upon that. So this is a pretty interesting site. It looks very clean from what they say on the headline of a clean WordPress music site. I would have to agree right there. And this is $29. And so that's pretty interesting. So this is the theme itself. And so it's got, let's see what we got here. It's got a sidebar. So like these recent posts could be like, Davy Jones is taking and playing the Northwest Suburbs Chicken Festival tomorrow. And these blog posts right here are any of these news stories that you actually want to take and share out there that somebody can come to your site and see very, very quickly. But it's also not front and center taking away from the brand, because maybe the news part isn't the most important part. Maybe it's taking and saying something about the album or the song that you're actually doing. So these are things that you'll have to consider. Yes, they're giving you options as things to take and choose in certain site, but how you craft what you're taking and doing, like who is this MVP for? What am I trying to accomplish? Those particular things will be key in there. And so like, what do we have here? We have some albums, like different page stuff here, and then some upcoming show information, some show stuff. So that's pretty cool. This is the sticky. This right here is that sticky player where it's like I'm scrolling down the site and no matter what, I always see that particular thing. And that button takes and shows it. It kind of hides it so I can have a little bit more information shown on the site, which some people might like. So like if it's open like this, it might not be the best thing for you. These are all things that will come here. But from this particular perspective, this site looks very, very good in like an Instagram feed. So it can show all your Instagram stuff once you take and put this together. I didn't mention this, like obviously cost is going to be associated with all of these. So like in the first set of sites where it was on Wix or Squarespace, you're paying them a monthly fee to take and maintain and host it. And every month you have to pay that monthly fee. And that is, you'll want to take and figure out what plan you're going on to take in, because there's shopping information. So plans will change variously there, but you're going to be paying a monthly fee for that. And you may have to pay, like if you don't want to set the Wix site up yourself and you want to hire somebody to do that for you, you may have to pay somebody else a nominal fee to take and go set that up. The same is true with the WordPress. WordPress, you'll pay the monthly fee for your hosting, and then potentially a fee to take in if you want to purchase any of these themes. And then potentially if you don't want to take and set it up yourself, you'd have to pay somebody else to set it up for you. So there's going to be fees, pros and cons. Like nothing's free. I just want to say that, like, I mean, there are probably situations where you can get free, but nothing is ever free. And like when I'm saying it, like you're in the realm of $50s a month, you know, things are not too expensive. Like for hosting costs at the level of most people, it's not going to be extraordinarily. It's a business expense. It's a cost of being a music, like it's a cost of doing business is having a website there. The more customized, the more stuff with a brand. Like if you're taking and doing, like if you want to do a bunch of this custom artwork, you're going to have to take in, reach out and contract with most likely a designer who will design certain assets for you. They will charge you a certain rate to take and get these back. And that could be with anybody. So when I say that these templates are there in all of these things, the customization part, you have to figure out how much you want to do. And this is where knowing kind of what you want to take in, who your audience is, can help drive these particular conversations. So, just as a software engineer, I just don't want people to, like, if you're hearing this, don't be discouraged because it's not there, but know that it's going to cost money to take and get these out there. The last solution that I took in was saying was, like, so this is my website for Live9, the LLC, which does obviously Live9 recordings. It does the podcast network and all this other podcasts. This is a customly built site just by me, just very, very simple, not using WordPress, not using anything. It's just straight HTML on a server. And this is a developer. I'm just setting this up myself for just a very, very simple one-pager. Now you can go completely complex on some of this stuff and go even further for your sites where you build out your own infrastructure and your own platform. And the reason I would say that most people don't need to do that is because then you run into problems that can arise from having the software running that is different. So I would suggest that most people would stay in the realm of taking and either going the Squarespace Wix route or having a content management system that is the home base for your site going forward. The reason being is there's a lot of things that you think you need that custom development would be great from the scratch, from the ground up. But to be honest, there's not a lot of things that it's actually necessary for that. So if somebody pitches you that route, I mean, you can take and go through that. It's obviously going to be more expensive because you're then talking about literally bare servers and writing code, and maintaining that can be difficult. And, you know, it's writing everything from scratch. And it's like, do you want to do that? And so like, what is the end goal? What is your end goal? Is your end goal to take and do this? Now you can take and do this simply with just like static stuff, and there's different solutions, and I'm happy to take and go over different solutions as to why certain things are better in apps, certain things are better done on WordPress, and so on. I'm happy to take and answer those questions directly. I think a lot of times when that happens, people focus on the problems that arise from that are scale. And if you take and have a large number of traffic to your site and it goes down, and that could happen on any of these platforms. And so it gets harder to fix it gets more expensive to fix if you're doing everything custom than it is if you're using a hosted solution. It's the level of risk and what you'd have to take and do if it were to go down that you're potentially going to be responsible. Because if the site goes down and it's your main source of selling music or selling tickets, that's bad. So you got to weigh in how long is it going to take to get the site back up into the equation of what you're building. So, I kind of wanted to talk about that because I'm I'm experiencing this on myself. It's like, what is the best solution to get sites out the door? So what is the best solution for Live9 Recordings site? What is the best solution for Patrick for Our Music, which is my album site? And this one is just statically hosted, just very, very small website with the upcoming album EP concept art on it here. It just solves this purpose. This is doing exactly what it needs to do right now. So don't over-engineer things is also what I'm saying. Is don't over-engineer something for a problem that you don't have today. Solve the problem that you need to have today. So if I needed to prove to somebody that I had demos, I would probably have a site that showed that I had demos and so on. So, again, if there's any questions, please hit me up on Twitter, email me, do whatever. I'd be more than happy to take and reach out and respond for that. Lastly, before we wrap up tonight's live stream, we've been going for a little bit. I wanted to talk a little bit more about Splice because I did use that in the demo on Thursday night. And again, like I said, these are all just things that I like to use. These are not things that I'm being paid to use at all, or being sponsored by. So I just want to get this clear. I stumbled upon Splice first on the music production side of things, in regards to seeing ads pop up all the time in social media in regards to plugins that I had purchased, like specifically stuff from Isotope was on Splice as a place to purchase or do like a rent to own almost for plugins. So like vocal synth, like you basically pay over time and then you would outright own, like you'd rent the plugin and then you would eventually pay the plugin fee down and then you'd outright own that. And so it was very interesting. I saw a lot of times over like this was this. So then I looked into Splice and then there was this on YouTube, there was a Oakfelder video talking about how they made Sorry Not Sorry. And it's obviously from Splice right here. And I'll link this into the show notes in here. But he talks about like how they used it as a way to take and get started on projects. And I'm kind of flipping from business head to producer head right now. A lot of times the infinite amount of opportunities that are available when you start a track and look at Logic from the beginning is, I'm going to open up Logic right now and hopefully nothing's going to crash. When I open up Logic from the beginning and see this right here from the beginning, I see this window and nothing here, no tracks. The infinite possibilities of what I can work with is tremendously overwhelming and scary sometimes to think about this. That was one of the things I learned on Thursday was like I had a key and a beats per minute, but then I still had an infinite amount of chord progressions, possibilities that I could have started with there. And it was very difficult to take and work with to try to figure out, okay, where to actually go here. So Splice, what it does, and like I'll watch Oak use it because he talks about like how they used it in the creative process to find where they could start to write from. And that's one of the things that I want to take and advocate for is use samples. You can use samples to figure out where you want to write from. And they can take you into a space where you may be able to explore something creatively that you never thought you would be able to write. If you're thinking of like, oh man, I'm genre specific, I'm only writing soul songs, there's nothing that says you can't take an experiment with expanding your horizons in the creative process to take and do different things and use different things. So like what I'll do is every month I get 100 credits for the base price. And so what I'll do here is when I'm bored, I'll just sit here and basically come down and just listen to all the samples here and then heart every single one I can find. So, nope, maybe this one, maybe this one. Like, just sample all of these different things. And if I like it, I just put a little bookmark. And then I kind of go through the process again and again and again and again. And then I get a collection of samples and songs that might be good. And then if I'm, looking for that, that spark, that inspiration to take and do things like, oh man, I kind of want to take and make it a Miami Vice-y sounding track. Well, I heard that sample on Splice that allowed me to do so. I strongly think using these samples, and they're royalty free. So that's part of the things that you can use these in your works. I would double check with the terms of services and all that stuff. And I'm not an attorney, so I'm not advocating you to do one thing or the other. I'm just saying this has helped me, like in the creative process, to be able to find out new sounds, to take and work with, and it's great. And I think we're gonna, as we continue to take and do more to the live streams on Thursdays, we're gonna look at. You're definitely gonna see a lot more of these Splice libraries in some of these songs as we start to create them. But like you just go here, it's like, okay, here's one that I thought was really great. Just a little A sharp minor, 115 beats PM, staccato strings going, just a little chord progression that, okay, right now I'm already thinking of like a deep bass, like a deep 808 over the top of that with just like a kick drum going, and then you have that, and then you can start building from there, adding pieces, taking pieces away, using other samples in Splice, other samples in your other libraries, using your own instruments, novel concept of playing your own instruments, which is a great thing. So I wanted to talk more about that. So I guess that kind of wraps us up for tonight with what I wanted to talk about. If you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter, P4R1. If anything was unclear in terms of like the website stuff, or you have any more questions in regards to this, or you just don't know how to get started building your website, or you just frankly don't want to do it and you want to have somebody do it for you, I'm open to those opportunities as well. And when we talk about that, it's like also figuring out like what the strategy is, like what are you actually trying to achieve? Because I think, yes, anybody can have a website, anybody can build a website, but if it's not having an intent of where you want it to go, it will just be not a good experience for that. So I think that that's going to be key. Again, until next time, thank you so much for everything, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys in the near future. All right, everybody, have a good night.